Greetings, I am Liz.
And I am Shant. And let's play a game together. We have too many babies walking around like monkeys in the head right now. Sorry, we were actually having an off-screen conversation and we were trying to find videos. So there's a behavior that parents will perform of trying to get their kids to walk. That both Scandal and I, that Liz
yourself.
Liz and I have actually observed over the years, and I didn't realize that I, growing up, had ever really observed it either, but I thought it was really funny, where we were pointing out, going, a lot of parents, for some reason, go, I'm going to teach my child to walk by grabbing their arms and hoisting them over their heads, so they walk around like a little puppet, but with, by their arms kind of thing. And then you watch little kids, once they start learning how to walk, they start walking around like little monkeys.
With their arms straight up over their head. Because that's where their center of gravity is based on where they've been taught to walk. So in my experience, especially working in like daycare and having like young relatives and stuff like that, there's been a lot of like watching, even like young cousins, infants go to, walking children kind of thing. And there's this experience where, it seems to be a lot of parent culture on it's very important to make them walk as early as possible or whatever, or people are super impressed with your baby if they walk early, even though there's a lot of things around it. Anyway, let's skip all of that.
Drama.
But there's some really, really cute shit that you'll see in like a very young child, daycare kind of thing, where they're learning to walk, and if their parents have been trying to help them learn to walk by holding their arms up over their head, which the reason the parents do that, as far as I know, is so they don't have to bend down as far.
Yeah.
So that if you hold the baby around the waist to help them walk, you have to bend down really freaking far, but if you hold them by their arms, you get to stand up a little bit more. I was just saying, so it's probably a posture thing, but that the babies will, when they start to stand up and walk on their own, they just put their arms straight up over their head, and a lot of times it overbalances them, but sometimes they'll just be walking around with their arms waving back and forth over their head. And so this was an unrelated discussion, and if you just came in and this is your first episode,
you're welcome.
Liz and Scandal, you're here.
No, so you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right, anyway,
you're always hungry.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Hungry.
And so that only leaves one option.
I give up. I'm not even hungry anymore. Don't make me feel guilty.
Because money is such a huge, big deal, and food is such a big, huge deal,
nope.
that I have to actively shame you.
Why do you center your whole life around money, Scandal? You should be thinking about other things. We have heard said to self many times. All right, anyway, so don't make me feel guilty for not having money, because that's not a hard position to be in.
That is completely not true.
Oh
if you feel guilty, that means you deserve to feel guilty.
Okay, I have had that levied at me a lot of times.
I have too.
That basically, if you feel guilt, it means the guilt is merited. It means you were in the wrong.
It's from that stupid line of going, if you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't worry. And it's like, no, that is still an invasion of someone's time, privacy, and space. And if people are looking for something to find bad, guess what?
They'll probably find it. They'll find a way to judge you anyways. And the thing is even if you're like, I have nothing to hide, and you put your business out there going, see, look, nothing to hide. You shouldn't have, one, had to prove yourself, but two, they can go, oh yeah, but these things over here, these are problematic because of my opinions. And then you go, oh, are they?
Or you're immediately keyed into socially feel bad because it's a situation where you're afraid and you're uncomfortable and you're having to air out your dirty laundry, even if for other people they'd be like, that's nothing. You're like, but I feel terrible. I was questioned. I was, the integrity of my character was literally fucking called into question.
I say sometimes you feel bad because you feel like it's your fault that you ended up in this social situation.
Yeah, you should have never gotten caught to begin with. You should have never been questioned.
Not even caught. You should have conducted yourself in a way that would have never led to this conversation. Yeah. Therefore, it's your fault. And that is so much responsibility put on a person that it's staggering to me. And I've operated that way a lot of my young life, of feeling very much like there's a lot of victim blaming that is in my family specifically, but it goes around anyway.
Oh yeah.
There's social precedent. It's not just my family. I say in reference to if you've ended up in a bad situation, that's your fault. You should have seen all the signifiers, all the warnings, all the information. You're smart enough to have not ended up there, and since you are smart enough to have not ended up there, it is your fault that you did so.
Right.
But also there is that if you feel guilty, you deserve to feel guilty, and it's basically this idea of, well, if you're feeling unhappy, that implies guilt and that kind of thing, and you can be feeling bad or unhappy or guilty for so many reasons that are not the subject of the conversation, like or it could be feeling guilty for having brought this up in the first place, could be feeling guilty for wasting your time, could be feeling guilty for being poor and not being able to avoid situations like this because of impulse control in reference to basic human needs like food,
right? Or her own stress, feeling guilty because I'm stressed out and I need food to compensate.
Or definitely want comfort to be able to be a functioning human being. Because sometimes when people go, well, you didn't have to buy that snack, it's like, okay, but what I know about myself is that if I don't have a snack in this situation where I am really uncomfortable and stressed out, then I won't be able to focus on something else, or I won't be able to ride the endorphin boost, which will make me a reasonable and functioning human being in this space. And otherwise, I'll be an absolute disorganized bitch who might break down into tears every 10 minutes. So I'd rather just have that snack and, you know, not deal with any of that shit.
Right, because I have literally no other tools. Thanks, assholes. And you literally won't let me have any other information or give me any other tools. You just judge me. Appreciate it. You deserve to feel guilty.
Ha! Yuri
they are
slides in.
Literally just standing there listening.
They are. They're just standing there listening to your conversations. And not that anyone has to intervene. Like, you're not obligated socially to intervene. And a lot of times people go, well, you know, you saw bullying and you should have controlled it. Most of us are not taught how to intervene. And I've covered this in other episodes and other series and things like that, where even if you see something bad going on, bad I use loosely because it's your own interpretation of whether or not it's bad, something that you don't like and you feel should be intervened with or stopped, it doesn't mean you feel equipped or have the tools to do so.
And sometimes it's a good thing, actually, that you don't get involved because you don't know what you're doing. You can really honestly cause a huge problem.
Sometimes you can make it a lot worse. Sometimes trying to help the person who's in trouble actually then makes both of you in trouble, such as I will then try to help the drowning person, but I'm not trained in rescue, and now we're both drowning.
Yeah.
And now the rescuer, who was not there quite as fast as me, can't rescue two people at once. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, it's important to be able to weigh your skills and your ability to intervene, but also, while it is good to be aware when someone should intervene, sometimes you literally don't know how. Yeah. And so again, you don't have to feel guilty about it. But if you find yourself in a situation where you feel very helpless because there's something going on that you would like to intervene with, then that's an opportunity to go educate yourself so that next time you'll be better prepared. Going, I saw bullying, I saw sexual aggression, I saw whatever it is in public. What's a good way to deal with this? And you can even look up like professional mediation, professional, you know, intervention, that kind of thing, and be like, I have learned how to diffuse some of this kind of conflict. Or you can even take some community classes.
Which is actually a thing that people recommend even in regards to like being online. If you don't know what's going on or how to interact with it, going and finding somebody who is a professional or a situation in which you could go get more education. Educate yourself. Don't just jump down on somebody's throat just because everybody else is. Don't get stuck to the mob mentality, I guess is what I'm talking about here.
Try not to be an uninformed internet bully.
Because it is. Like, sometimes as far as we've actually discussed, it seems like there are some people who literally basically jump in because they go, well, I should do something, and the only way to do something is that I need to attack you and I need to do, because that something has to be done. It has to happen.
This is the only action I can take is scream at you over the internet because I know no other options and I have to do something. And sometimes people they're spurned to action because they have this massive response of, I need to do something. And their awareness level, what they are literally aware of as their options, is only one thing. Yeah. And so since they have no awareness of any other choices, they go, I have to choose this, or I have to overcome this demand for action, and I have to dismiss this call to action. Yeah. And so I think that's where actually a lot of internet, like sort of bullying and like mob mentality cancel culture comes from. People go, I've seen this thing, and it rises, it triggers me, or it causes me to have a massive intense internal reaction, or I'm going, you know, I need to do something because fight or flight is triggered, right? And the only thing you know how to do is what everyone else is doing, or the only thing you can perceive, which is yell.
Yeah, which is, this is clearly the just and right thing to do, except that you might not even know what's going on. So it's really important in that case where people are like, please educate yourself before you start screaming.
Where sometimes people go, okay, what's in, or you get a lot of those videos going, hi, so this massive counseling that happened was a giant misunderstanding. Yeah, right. One person represented another person in a way that was interpreted in a third way, and then everyone freaked out. And you go, wow. There's actually a really good video from ContraPoints about canceling and how one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another without looking at any of the source material at all. And it's a very interesting process for her particular experience.
Yes, absolutely.
And it is specific to her, but
Yuri suddenly giggles. Wow, girl, where the frick did you come from? I wasn't even paying attention.
Delighted laughter from the corner.
What? I didn't notice that she was listening in.
But everyone is always listening in, and I don't care because I don't care about any of them, so it sounds reasonable.
Are they all sort of in on making fun of Sayori? I don't know.
Or basically having themselves seem better than everyone else, so if Sayori is taken down, then that's one more person I don't have to compete with.
Right. Her face is in her book, as always.
I wasn't listening or anything. Hang on. Did she just read your mind? I noticed that Yuri was listening. So that was all in Splat's head. And now she's suddenly going, I wasn't listening. Or is that I clearly was listening. And I realize that I've laughed out loud because I was listening, because this is so intense. And then I'm going to try and defend myself.
Wait, what?
Either it is, I was listening in and I was laughing at Sayori's situation, or you have to know that Splat thought that. You have to know that Splat went, I notice you are listening.
Or literally, Yuri is just assuming, and, like, Yuri experienced a thing. So I'm very good, and I don't know, I think I've mentioned it before, but I am very, very good at being literally in the middle of a room and there's a lot of shit going on and just focusing on my own shit. I can hyper-focus on whatever I'm doing, and I do not pay attention. I have no idea what the conversation's going on, and my friend many times is like, this thing, what we were talking about. I'm like, you didn't invite me. So I heard nothing. I was literally not paying attention at all. Like, it is a behavior one that I think I have learned really super hard from growing up in a family. Yeah, that was very much like, if you're not invited in, you're not involved.
Right, and it was very much that thing of, even if you're between the two people speaking to each other, if you're not invited, you're not also invited to listen.
Yes.
And I was going to say, but in this case, so she had to have an awareness of your conversation happening and the intensity of it and what that laugh would sound like to be able to defend against it.
Right.
Otherwise, it would be, I'll just laugh at something in my book and then look up, like, why are you both staring at me?
Huh? What?
Yeah, so it's something in my book. Yuri, tell Splat to let me borrow some money because, I can't think about anything else right now. Hang on.
What?
That seems like a weird position for Sayori to take. You've just torn me apart over this behavior and just sort of attacked my character. And now I'm just saying, Yuri, tell them to let me borrow money. And going, is that even what this conversation was about?
What? I don't understand that change at all. Like...
Because again,
I thought I had an idea for what the character was like.
She didn't keep asking for money. She just kind of went, you don't have to put it on, like, you don't have to attack me like that. Now you're making me feel guilty and embarrassed. But now she's just like, no, make them loan me money. I'm like, what?
What?
Don't get me involved like that, Sayori. Besides, you should only buy what you can responsibly afford, and I will jump onto the bandwagon of shaming you about your finances, because while I don't know as much about your home life as Splat clearly does, I know how money works, and from a financially privileged position, I understand that everyone who's poor, it is their own fault for not budgeting correctly, and so you should be more responsible.
You need to realize that at the end of the year, if you don't buy Starbucks, you'll be able to finally, still be poor.
And frankly, after pulling a mischievous little stunt like that, which I clearly was not listening to and do not know the contents of this conversation at all, except for I am now confirming that I was listening the entire time, just like everyone in this club does, your suffering is fair enough retribution. I think it's appropriate that you hurt and feel stupid about your choices, because you're clearly less good than the rest of us.
Do you want to be annoyed at something that has just been bugging the hell out of me?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so character design-wise, you guys, I can't show it to you, but look over at Yuri's costume, right?
Okay.
See how the top lapel comes down on top? And how it's implied by, when you look over at Sayori's, it's actually supposed to slide under. Because the buttons go into the hole, but it, like, shifts down here at the bottom. Okay. So see how it changes from bottom to top, where it's going?
Yes.
Like,
okay, so
somebody drew this backwards.
What we're talking about is, if you look just at Yuri's costume.
Right.
If you look at where the lapels come together and how, to us facing the screen, the left-hand one tucks under, but then the way the buttons lay, it shouldn't be tucked under because of where the seam is and how it terminates at the base.
Yes, so it's...
And so it's like the jacket switches sides.
I was wondering what was going on with her jacket. Like, it's been bothering me for a while. I'm like, there's something, let alone the fact that her jacket annoys me anyway. But number two, I just like, what is...
On the other hand, they could have been trying to tuck it under, and that's why it terminates differently, and the point goes there. It's just a poor interpretation of it.
It looks weird. It doesn't work for me.
The over-under doesn't work for me at all.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, so, okay, see that. I would say, but yeah, it sounds like Yuri is basically, girls need to fight each other, and that's what we're doing. And Yuri is, while I am the soft, beautiful waifu potential, and I will never be anything other than soft and sweet and feminine, it's important for you to know that you are shit, and I have done well by maintaining a quiet voice and a soft demeanor and a lot of feminine characteristics, such as a larger bosom, a well-fitted uniform, and long, elegant hair. You know?
I'm also just like, that is...
But that is
wow, that
harsh.
is mean.
That is mean. We are dealing with a lot of meanness and pettiness in here, and I'm wondering if this is a setup, again, for subversion. But I keep looking for it and going, what are we subverting here?
Yep, and so far I'm not running into anything.
So far, this was very standard catty girl behavior, just stepped up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is really your standard 100% focus on the pro tag is very normal for these games based on the few that we've played. And it's been interesting to get more and more into the culture of what is considered otome and dating games and learn more of the tropes and memes and then go back and go, oh, I understand these things differently now.
Right.
Like, there's a couple of games. There's one game that we thought of replaying, Stellamore, recently, even though it's only in the prologue stage, because we have a lot more context for the experience with it now.
Yeah.
And we feel like it has some cool features that we didn't notice before in reference to the contrasting features that we've seen in other places.
Right.
But, like, this is harsh.
Yeah, that's really mean.
Even, I wasn't expecting you to be that mean. Right, I'm supposed to be soft and deferring at all times and never say anything that is in any way potentially controversial or judgy. Did I just, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. I got too absorbed into my book and I wasn't thinking about what my words would mean to you in conversation. I was just reading over here and not paying attention, even though I've just displayed that I have context for your whole conversation starting at the beginning. And now I just feel bad because that was probably a bitch move.
You know, sometimes what bothers me is sometimes they'll use this trope to basically be like, oh, and the person will say something, be so blunt and so honest, and you deserve that takedown. And I was like, yeah, sometimes though those takedowns are completely unwarranted and they're exactly what they are. They're just cruel.
Yeah.
They are not at all actually useful or helpful or constructive criticism in any way, or basically even a very, like, oh, well, call-outs aren't always nice.
Right.
Yeah, but the thing is they're still people?
Right.
Like...
So in this case, I feel like it was meant to imply that Yuri was responding to you there. Because there's this, I will just say these things facing you, the viewer, facing your protag.
Right.
And that then, after I've gotten through and said it, and one, heard what I've said, and two, see your facial response to it, I go, oh, that was not something you liked. So of course I didn't mean to say that. So I feel like that's partially part of the narrative of when she goes very blushy, ashamed, is the I've seen that you're reacting negatively to what I've chosen, so I don't want to have chosen it.
Right.
I got too absorbed in my book. I really like it when you speak your mind, Yuri, and it was really great that you broke up this conversation, which was getting sort of intense, and I appreciate that you are so blunt. Didn't I say I love everyone for how diverse and different they are? Except for that's a little bit like Splat, but that's okay. I love it.
It's a little abusive.
It doesn't happen much, but it's a fun side of you, because if I treat it like it's an interesting, surprising joke, like, wow, that was so dark, it must have been on accident, then it works really well.
Yeah, it's great,
But,
and
like,
I don't have to deal with the ramifications of what it means at all.
And I don't have to think about that. That might actually be a piece of who you are and what you really think. It's just, you're really bad at strong words when you say them, which is so funny for the rest of us.
Ah, tee-hee-hee, oh God.
There's no way you could think that. You have to have been hurt by the bullshit I just spewed at you. And you just kind of think it's charming.
I got clapped
And you dismissed it?
Oh my God, girl.
You were right, though. I am totally in the wrong here. I did something bad, and now I have to... Revolution?
Yeah, that's on purpose.
Wait, what?
And now I have to accept the retribution.
Wait, revolution?
That
says revolution.
I know! It's meant to be that she said the wrong thing. It's the pathing issue. Revolution and then retribution.
So she's supposed to have misspoke on purpose, you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, she didn't mean to, but, you know, Sayori's stupid and absent-minded and doesn't understand what she's saying. This is Sayori being dumb.
Okay. I'm not used to that. All right.
That's okay.
I did something bad, and I'm clearly going to put a moral, personal weight on that judgment and accept it completely, and I should be feeling like ass right now, and I should totally be punished, and now I have to accept the revolution.
You see?
There we go.
Yeah.
Retribution. It's so that Yuri could come in and be right.
Yes.
Got it. Nice catch there. I did not pick that up at all.
No, I was like, oh, absolutely. I'm also like, that is a weird convention, because now we've introduced the fact that apparently Sayori is suddenly going to abruptly demand having things, which is weird, because she's never really done that before. And, which is fine. I'm not saying you can't learn new things about characters, but there's things that you can learn that you can go, okay, this is where the character is going, and I'm getting a little confused. Like,
okay.
I'm not sure if it's a subversion necessarily, or it's just being like, now let's introduce this nasty thing, basically, or whatever else.
What are we doing
But
here?
we're out of retribution time. So in the next one, we will be back. But if you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And please feel free to share our videos if you're having a good time with us. Other than that, though, if you'd also like to support us, please feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi or our Patreon. We got some links in the description down below. And I have been Scandal.
And I have been Lies.
And it was great playing with you.
Bye!